Had a little lamb.
Yeah, I want to have a little lamb. That will definitely bring me peace.
I see Erica is here. Yay, Erica is here. My new friend, Erica. And Larry.
Beautiful.
Who else is here? We have a lot of people here. Jan, Joanne, Lynn,
Yay!
Richard.
It's
Susan,
because
Tracy,
they all want to hang out with
Kathleen,
us. I love it.
David,
Yeah.
Karen. We got a lot of great people here.
This is awesome. So everybody come on back in. We actually have a whole group of people today, and we actually are looking to invite anybody and everybody who wishes to come up on camera. Please feel free to say so in the chat and we'll promote you up. I don't want to just promote people if they're not interested in doing that, of course. And let's see here, we'll go. Chris, I'm gonna turn your video back on here. There he is, the man of the hour. And Mariette, you're in the vehicle, right?
I'm gonna pull in my video a little bit once I park, so that way people are not like, what's going on? So just as a caveat, like if you guys don't want to turn on your video because you feel like you don't have a background, your background's gonna be better than mine because mine's a car seat. So you're good.
Perfect. And we will also take in the chats if you decide you want to say something that way. We will absolutely be more than happy to share that for you as well. So, you know, we've definitely enjoyed. First, I should say, Linda, thank you for joining us from 10,000 feet above. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think this is the first time we got somebody in a car and a plane. We just needed a train. And
hey, is anybody on a train? Show your camera.
And then, of course, in our link there for people on Facebook, you will be able to see the link there if you want to join live. Chris, thank you very much for joining us today, jumping in. For those of you who may not be familiar with Chris, Chris is actually with a really great company called QBox, which is, Chris is probably one of the greatest human beings I've ever had the opportunity to meet, which I'm grateful to know this guy. We've worked together for quite a few different things now. But QBox is a great program that allows us to, well, like for my QuickBooks Desktop clients, I don't have to go to their place of work to do stuff. I can literally set up the company file inside of QBox, be able to access it, pull it down to my computer, do the work. When I'm done with it, they can take it back to their computer at the office and do their stuff. It does version control too, so it keeps backups, and it does the same thing also where you can store more documents, Word documents, Excel, all these other things. And then you also, I'm going to make you tell us about the new feature that's just been launched, right? The, what's the right name for it? The receipt capture?
Scanbox. I mean, they branded it as Scanbox, but it's receipt capture is basically what it is.
So
that's cool.
Yes, it's been really neat to see that progress. It's actually pretty cool. So I will. All right. Now we do, of course, also have questions that we're going to be able to go through today as well. So we can start that in a short bit. Jan, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on getting out and about and walking around, by the way. So
it's a wonderful feeling.
Nice.
Hi, Linda. Yes, I can do a whole city block, and you've been in Toronto, they're long city blocks.
Yes. So for those who aren't familiar, you basically did a great number on your foot, right? And you've been casted up throughout all this COVID type stuff, and couldn't really go much of anywhere, even up and down the stairs for a little bit of time. So on the mend.
Yeah, 3 months of no weight bearing because I broke 2 bones in the ankle and the fibula. So I've got lots of metal. So
wow.
Yeah, it was a nasty break.
Okay.
You're going to have a fun time going through the airport.
Yeah.
So something else a little bit new today. As you guys know, I've been on the task of trying to figure out how to do live captions.
Yay, it's working.
While on a live stream. And as you
Yay.
can see, it's not exactly perfect, but to my two Sandys out there, I'm getting pretty darn close. Just know I haven't given up on this task. It mainly works when you're in PowerPoint, but now with PowerPoint now, you can actually choose an option to show captions. And when I'm doing presentation, I just have it below the slides itself instead of being overlaid. And now we can actually see what's going on there. So,
Oh my God, Matthew, it's perfect. I'm watching the words come through.
yes.
Oh, it's got my voice too.
Yeah, that's the cool thing.
That's really awesome.
So let's jump into these questions. I got to tell you, Linda, I think
You're welcome.
yeah. So Linda likes to pick hard ones when she wasn't going to be here to make this more interesting. So, hey, Greg, you want to come on and help answer questions this time?
No cheating.
Greg says, yes, let's go. Boom and boom. Of course, I'm going to
Yay,
cheat.
Greg.
So, and again, anybody else, if you want to jump up, just raise your hand. You're welcome to come on. Otherwise, we'll pass your questions and such through. So,
I'm eating a popsicle.
Greg, good to see you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
I'm going to save everyone the visual of me eating a popsicle. So there you go.
Okay.
No comment. No comment.
So our first,
There would have been
actually,
a lot of comments.
before I jump into these questions, I want to ask everybody that we have up here at the moment for their positives. So I want to start with Mariette. What is your positive thing that has happened so far for you this year?
So, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm showing you, so I'm probably not going to show my video. Okay. So a
Oh,
positive
you look
thing.
good.
Oh, okay. Because I was like trying to park for you guys here, so I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
So my positive, I would have to say, and I shared this already. I think we've done something together. Maybe it was something on Seth's Zoom, but I try to see the silver lining in everything, and I've seen a lot of people step up and do some really amazing things for their community. So that for me was really positive, and it wasn't necessarily like what I was doing, but being able to see what other people were doing. We were just talking about that before we started this live. Like, I think even if there's an opportunity for us to share what people have been doing to truly try to help and impact during these tough times, I think they should even be recognized if we can do that. And Intuit did a really cool campaign actually to recognize some people that have been doing some cool stuff. So I think that's the positive, just being able to see that even though, we're in uncertain times and tough times, there's still people doing some really amazing things. And that, that warms my heart to see that. So that would be a positive.
I love that. I think it's great. And I know that I think what you said it's perfect. How about for you, Jan? What's something positive besides being able to walk again? Positive for you.
And I haven't killed my husband during this whole thing.
That is positive too. That is very positive.
Definitely,
Isn't that
yeah.
positive?
It's like I'm not used to someone being a caretaker for me. I think one of the biggest things is that with this whole COVID-19 here, really being proactive in my neighborhood, especially, we have quite a few Facebook groups. So answering questions, being able to give them sometimes resources, sometimes not, depending on what's going on. Because I'm in Canada, and especially landlords were not the retail office stores were not getting breaks. And they used to sit in a meeting I was in this morning. There's already a 30% vacancy rate on Danforth, which is the main street in Toronto.
Wow.
Because of landlords not willing to
Wow.
negotiate. And this is some businesses that have been in business for like 25 years, 30 years, and they're just, we can't do it anymore.
It's going to be
So-
it's a very short-sighted perspective, right?
Yeah.
Very short-sighted. How about you, Linda? What's something positive you got? Hopefully not
I would
COVID,
have to
because you're coming
say-
visit.
Yeah, no. What should I say? Because I'm visiting you? No, that's not what I'm going to say. So actually being on QuickBooks Power Hour, recognized for the niche and the fact that I've been working so hard for it. And then I'm starting to get the organic leads after 4 years of working towards it is a big win for me this year. And
I-
visiting you.
it's been really, really impressive to watch your journey as you've gone into choosing your niche and seeing it from not that to where it is now. So I think it's pretty cool. I'd like to follow that lead.
It's been a journey.
Yep. Chris, I'm coming to you next.
Okay. Well, and I'm the talking guy. So first of all, I wanted to say, Matthew, you've been an awesome business friend, and Linda, and even Mariette also. So thank you very much for your kind words. I honestly, this is going to sound stupid, but I cannot think of anything this year that has not been positive. This whole virus thing has been frustrating, and the protests have been frustrating, but it's really interesting how your eyes get opened. I've been involved with the food bank a couple of days a week, and our neighbors have actually had their kids out more. We've had, it's been kind of the opposite, like more interaction with people. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot this year, and as Matthew knows, we just moved this past week, just down to the Central Coast, not a huge distance, but I'm just grateful for a lot of things. I'm thankful for family and friends and business associates, and so it's been a nuisance. In fact, it's funny, even my haircut, I was so happy when I came down to Arroyo Grande and I saw a barbershop that was open. I'm like, I'm going there tomorrow morning. So, but so just, it makes you really appreciate things. And for us, of course, it was very easy to work remotely and do the whole shelter in place. But as Jana was mentioning, I just thought about so many people that aren't getting a check if they don't show up at the door, that are losing their livelihood after many years. That breaks my heart. But I feel very grateful that, I feel really horrible for those people and wanted to do all I could to reach out to them. But I feel very blessed and fortunate that, things have been reasonably constant for myself and my family. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
How about you, Greg?
Kind of echoing a lot of the same things that Chris was talking about, that, the fact that everybody is staying healthy, and, my business is being kind of catching a good sight of the wave, if you will, of what all of this COVID stuff is doing to a lot of businesses. And so, while my business is picking up, you do have the opposite side, that a lot of the businesses, around my community, and, even the businesses within my house, a lot of them are shut down, and just trying to see the positives in all of that. It takes a little bit of doing sometimes, but we're persevering, and the overall is that everybody is healthy and happy.
I love it. I will say that
awesome.
the text to speech had you in Times Square, Persevere England, but I think
That's good.
I know that.
That one did
Another
throw me
bonus.
off. And then for myself, the positive out of all this, actually, it's actually related to the group as well. We've appreciated seeing an increase in the number of people in our group, and the questions and such been coming through. I feel very fortunate to have been able to connect with and assist quite a few different business owners find the funds they needed to keep things moving along, and the gratitude that everybody has when you're able to do those things. It's something that's just maybe a minor bit of time for us, but if we're helping keep other businesses alive, that it's just very fulfilling for me. So
Wait, can I tell him? Can I tell him your nickname? It's Matthew Saves the World. Every time I can't get a hold of him, I'm like, "Are you saving the world again?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's it. That's okay. That's good stuff."
One of my clients has me in his phone as Greg the Business Saver.
Yep. I mean,
there you go.
It really is. It's when we're fortunate enough to, if we have a platform to use or to speak from, there's a responsibility to use it wisely, and it gives us the opportunity to expand the reach and take and multiply our time, to where instead of trying to tell just one person, if we can tell hundreds at once, that's the true kind of impact. Because as we always say, together we all succeed. So I didn't see any other chat ones. Let me see here real quick. So Erica in in the chat had basically said that her positive was meeting Linda and implementing Lima
Yeah.
and Elicio. As
Yes.
well as she's going to be a great grandmother in December. So congratulations.
How awesome
on
is that?
Yes. All right. Well, anybody else who wants to pop things in, we'll read them as we go along, but I'm going to jump into some questions at this point and we'll kind of kick it off. And anybody's welcome to jump in on answers or ideas to this stuff. So a client of mine is using his debit card to make personal purchases from his business bank account several times per month and wanted to code them to owner's draw. Is this correct? Would the IRS or a court look at this unfavorably if he were to go to court and his finances are looked into? Not separating business and personal expenses, of course, piercing the corporate veil. He's also taking fairly regular draw amounts during the month that are large amounts. Just wanted to see if this is anything I need to bring to his attention. So sounds like he needs to be taking a little bit bigger draws. Also question is the type of business entity, I would say. If it's an S Corp, he should be getting on payroll. And again, it really sounds like they probably need to evaluate their personal budget and try to structure that more appropriately. What would you, Mariette, what would you say to this?
Yeah, obviously, when I see that, I'm like, oh, wow. So first of all, I appreciate the question, and I appreciate, being vulnerable enough to share that there's, your clients are doing that. I mean, sometimes people are worried to even ask it. So I think I commend you for asking the question. I think number one, you really pinpoint it perfectly. It's an entity structure issue, number one. If you are anything other than a sole proprietorship, there's an absolute issue there. I mean, you are piercing the corporate veil. There has to be a separation between entity and shareholder and employee, which when you mentioned they should be on payroll, that would be if they're an S corporation or C corporation. So entity structure is critical to, whether or not this is a much bigger issue. But with that being said, even from a sole proprietor's perspective, and again, I'm an IRS enrolled agent and an accountant and bookkeeper, so I take a really strong perspective and position. I think you should always have your books separate, because if you get audited, they can go and basically really deep dive into your business when they see that you don't have a separation of business and personal, whether you're a sole proprietor or any other entity. So I really think that you should act formalized, regardless if you formally incorporated or not. And that's just my personal position, because usually my sole proprietorships do end up deciding to become more formal businesses. And then we have to reteach those good habits. And if we would have learned them from the very beginning, then they pretty much already have that seamless transition and mindset from from sole prop to S Corp. We don't really have to reteach those habits, because they have them good from the beginning of when they started their business. So that's my perspective on that.
Now, one last touch base on something with this, which is piercing the corporate veil. Now, we think about that from tax-wise, everything else, but piercing that corporate veil is also, if you're trying to protect yourself if somebody was suing you, right? That if you pierce that corporate veil, that's enough to where they could possibly come after your own personal assets, which is one of the biggest reasons you become incorporated. So,
right.
Exactly. Totally.
Jen, anybody else want to add anything on to that? Okay. All right. So actually this one, Chris, this would be a good person for you. Hey guys, it's me again, not me. Matt, the person was Googling how to convert QBO to desktop and came across one of the videos October 2019, but you are using QB account version. Can I just load it into QB 2019? I have a company that closed, but they're not filing their taxes until the end of the year, and they still have some stuff trickling from their bank account. It would save them money if they didn't have to pay the online fee every month. So on this specific one, actually, right now on my desktop, I have QuickBooks Desktop open and my Internet Explorer open, helping to finish this conversion because we couldn't get it to work on that computer. And so to answer the initial question is, it doesn't have to be QuickBooks accountant version. It can be just the normal QuickBooks. But the tab online to desktop is run into issues all the time. And if I remember correctly, my next slide here shows the biggest thing comes around the point where you've basically authorized the pop-up windows in QuickBooks Desktop saying, is it okay with these things work together? Does that? And then there will be this little tiny window. I've expanded this, but it's usually like super small and collapsed to where it hides behind something and you can't actually see if it's making progress or not unless you
As I say, it
expand
looks like
bigger.
it looks like it's not doing anything, right?
Exactly. So you know who I'm talking to that's out there. I believe I've been successful with the conversion of that file today. I actually had a situation where I had to go in and restart my computer because it was telling me that I can only have one copy of QuickBooks open at a time.
Oh my gosh.
It was interesting. And then we also saw an issue where, because now with the newer versions, they're asking you to sign in or log in when you create a new company file. That was causing a bit of an issue. And then of course, Chris, this is where you come into play, right? Because anybody's going back to QuickBooks Desktop, but if they used
Yay.
QBox
Mhm.
and Vendor Sync together, hey, that's what we're talking about, right? We could the hybrid solution. So
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. We literally, it's kind of like all the political discussions right now. We try to avoid getting into QBO, QBD discussions, but if people want to choose it, I mean, that's what they're most comfortable with for whatever reason. Maybe it's inventory. In this case, they don't want to pay the monthly fee of QBO. But ultimately, just knowing that they have a way they can pull a copy from QBO, put it into the desktop version, and then if they want to, they can use a resource like ours to share the desktop file, which some number of people are not aware of. So, but they just need to be aware once they do convert it back to desktop, they need to have some sort of strategy to share and collaborate with their financial professionals. So
now, Jan, if I remember correctly, trying to go from QBO to desktop is non-existent in Canada, right?
It is non-existent. It would be wonderful, but no.
Wow.
Yeah, you have a
And-
lot
and
of features that we don't have, which get annoying.
And,
We pay
and
more
we have
for
to
them,
say,
too.
I wonder if
Matthew, we have to say QBox is awesome because Chris won't say it.
Yes.
yeah.
It is. Greg, you were
so
saying?
He's not allowed.
I was wondering if they were to use some of the hacks that you have there, breaking out the URL. I wonder if they might be able to back in the Canadian.
Interesting
version.
idea. I'm open to giving it a try. That's for sure. And I actually have a Canadian.
Don't you have a
QBO.
Canadian QBOA?
I do. I'll look into that one, Jan. Let's see if we can find a way if there's any custom ways, because that'll really
Yeah,
make me
any
happy.
good workarounds? And I know several people up here would be very happy with that.
Mhm.
There's actually, so there's another service that was in our comments specifically around this idea that it was a company that helps you export from QBO to desktop. I wonder if they actually, because they wouldn't be using this process, it sounds like they're using their own, they may have an option for different regions of QuickBooks. And for those who may not be familiar, what we're talking about is QuickBooks Online is not exactly the same everywhere. Like there's different regions. So Canada is a different region. You got US, you have Europe, you've got Australia, you've got India. And I think I'm missing two other ones.
Mexico.
Mhm.
And they're all unique. All the functionality of them is different. The app stores are different, such. So yeah, that's true. All right. So got a couple. Okay, this one here. OMG. I just spent over an hour on the phone helping to adjust 941s. She wasn't able to help me, but has escalated. She did change a setting in QBO employees so it tracks for the retention credit for next quarter. And then same person was also putting on, I'm confused. I can't fill out the credits in QBO for Q2. One client did not get PPP and could really use the credit right now. I'm sure like everybody else, there've been a lot of questions out there right now, all focused on like the new 941s and all those details. Let me pull up my fake company file, and I'm just going to do a quick reminder to everybody where this is at and what settings they need to adjust, so we can make the next go around next quarter even easier. See, Chris, you were smart not having an application that does anything with payroll, that kind of stuff. Smart, man.
I did reach out to our friend in QBO payroll, and she did say it'd be about a week or so when they're going to
Okay.
update the 941.
So now, obviously different in desktop. Sorry, I can't show that part at this moment, but at least for QBO coming up, basically when you come into an employee, you have to go to an employee record. Should we go to Linda and give you a raise, Linda? Edit
Yes, please.
your settings for pay and everything else, and you'll see in here, how much should I pay? Now at the bottom, you have this whole new section at the bottom here that you need to take a look at. So if you're looking to do employee retention credits for regular hours versus overtime, you need to be checking these off. And then for Family First, the FFCRA, Family First Coronavirus Response Act, if you needed to do those types of pay, you would check these different boxes off. Short version of it is, if the employee itself is sick, you would use this top one, and they're eligible for up to 80 hours of pay. Again, US-based thing, but 80 hours of pay at regular pay. If it's another family member who is ill, or if you have to care for a child, family member is the middle box. The expansion is if you need to care for a child because childcare was closed, all this because of COVID. This will give you the ability that when you go to process payroll, they actually show up there, and then it will actually take and immediately reduce your tax liability as you're processing it for you, which is great. So those settings are the most important. I'm going to fake a payroll real fast to show you, and then we can move on. We'll do.
Just for clarity, though.
Yeah.
It only you can't have received a PPP loan.
Very good point. Very good point. Absolutely right. Yeah, you're right.
Can't double
So for the employee retention credit part of it, correct?
Right.
Yeah. Now the FFCRA, you can still have taken a PPP, but you cannot use the funds of the PPP for the FFCRA. That's not confusing at all, right, guys? FFCRA wages itself. And then this here, if I click the gear icon, I'll get rid of some of these other ones so you can see stuff a little bit better, but you'll see that they're actually populating into here. And you literally, if it's like employee sick leave, you'd put the number of hours in. Family leave is hours. Family is dollar amount. So you'd have, which I'm not quite sure why they do it that way, but you'd have to actually put in yourself the amount. So if you did times hours, you'd do the calculation yourself and then put that in. And it all combines. So, all right. And QuickBooks Online certification. You know, so QuickBooks Online certification, this one is basically was taking the exam for the first time and was past the first 3 sections. There found a blog article that said you should try to locate the PDF documents related to each of the exam modules. It's kind of a good time to bring up the fact that the recertification window is getting closer to closing. I believe that's right at the beginning of August. But
the end of August.
Yep.
End of
Yeah.
August.
End of August. Yep.
So you don't want to have to redo your certification for like QBO Advanced for sure. It's tough. It's very, very tough. But so where this stuff is at, they're basically saying, where are those PDFs? I'm going to go back to QuickBooks back here, and I'm going to go to my.
And Matthew, can I jump in while you're going to
Please
the
do.
Pro Advisor portal? So yeah, just to be very clear, for whoever asked the question and anybody else, this is really important. So there used to be supplemental PDF guides for all for the certifications. So for the QuickBooks Online Core certification, which is the first certification you get, and then with the QuickBooks Online Advanced certification, which is the certification journey you take after you become Core certified, which is the first certification. So right now, currently, there is only PDFs So number one, that's really important because people get confused on what they mean by the PDF supplemental guides. So that's the case. So if you eventually get certified through, if you get to the advanced certification, there are literally PDFs that are like supplemental guides, and they really go through it, and you can do a control find and search on it. Or if you have attended any of our QuickBooks Online boot camps, which are certification boot camps, which are usually 1 or 2 day virtual conferences, and all we do is teach certification, you may have seen those supplemental guides. So that's what those are. And I've seen all the blogs out there, and I know that's usually what they're referring to. Now, what's important is that when you take the learning journey, and let's say you're going to be QuickBooks 4 certified, which means that you take 4 classes, which is Introduction to QuickBooks Online Accountant 1, Introduction to QuickBooks Online Accountant 2, and then QuickBooks Certification Preparation Exam 1 and QuickBooks Certification Preparation Exam 2. There's 4 classes, 10 hours of learning. In each one of those classes, which you would have taken as a webinar or you would have downloaded the webinar as a recording, you get a PDF of the slides. So you're actually getting a PDF of the slides of what we basically presented, but you could follow along if you want. So that's separate. But usually when people are referring to the documents, they're referring to the supplemental guides and not to the just downloadable slides. So it's just really important that everyone understands that. And the third thing I want to mention is that anybody at all that is taking the certification, I've already done 2 awesome challenges on how to get certified and being very intentional and getting certified in 10 days or less, which I had the pleasure of having Matthew and Linda part of it, which is awesome, and also Lisa Katz Pollock. What's really important is that you do take advantage of everything I just mentioned, but really take advantage of what Matt's going to hopefully show you right now, which is the QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor portal, which has all of these trainings in a self-paced way where you can self-pace your own training in addition to all of those webinars you take. And then you can essentially go through the self-pace, which is totally different than the webinar. The self-pace is essentially more like a wizard where you learn the content and then you do what's called knowledge check. And you check your knowledge for each section. So that's really the true journey if you want to get certified.
Exactly. Now I'm going to show one thing, that there's one way to get PDFs that are not the exact PDFs for the course itself, but they are PDFs that can tell you about the product itself. As a pro advisor, when you go into your benefits, right, you'll come in, if you see, you've got QuickBooks Online. They did have, so they've got downloads that you can do for QuickBooks Online training. Here we go, at the bottom here, for your clients. Now, I want to stress the fact that this is different than exactly the QuickBooks Online for yourself, right? Different perspective. Accountant has different tools and such onto it, but it is something that if you're kind of looking for something that you can read through, you could download this, look at that information, but really you need to go through all of these courses. And the way I got there is I'm in as a QuickBooks Online accountant. I went to my Pro Advisor tab here, and then under training, you're able to see all this stuff. And they keep adding new courses on new topics also. When you go through these sections, you're going to tell you, like, each one has little subsections itself, right? You go through, it's going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. There's generally going to be different videos that you can click on. There may be things to download that are templates and such as well. So here you'd watch a video, and then they'll do some very basic, like, knowledge checks on all of these as well. Keep an eye for stuff like this where it has tabs and they're using it to expand and show you more detail. When you get to the knowledge check like this, what I strongly recommend is go through, answer it, take a screenshot. I use Microsoft PowerPoint, and I'll do a screen capture and I'll save it in my PowerPoint. So I have one slide deck that has all of those going through, and you can use that as a reminder as to the types of questions that they're going to be based off. They're not going to be the exact questions, but they're going to be around the same topics. Okay. And then when you take the certification, if you don't pass a certain section, it's going to tell you areas you should spend more time focusing on also. Okay. Do a screenshot of that. Pay attention to what those are. If you can use that in reference back to what the questions were or the sections of the training, That will help you go back, reevaluate exactly what you may have missed, and will make it easier to go the next time through. As you take the test, screenshot each of your answers and save those, because if you have to go through it again and you know which ones that you got right, well, now it makes it just faster going through, even if there was a hiccup or something. Jan, in Canada, is it different up there? We got you on mute still. And we lost Linda, by the way.
What was that? Yeah. We're not having to recertify yet. I just keep constantly checking mine.
Wow.
So I recertified a year ago, but I'm not getting like half the stuff you had. I don't have.
And Chris, are you certified? Okay. Greg,
I am not certified. Let that be a record.
Any other inputs onto it, Greg, or anything like that?
No, sir.
Awesome. All right, so we're almost close out of time here, but we'll finish up real quick. Shared resource, actually. So Linda grabbed this one. Happy Wednesday. I just finished reading Liz Scott's Firm of the Future article about process advisory. Reading Liz's article gave a name to what I'd love to do: QB cleanups and giving business owners workflow improvement tips. I'd love to connect, brainstorm with others in the group that share an interest in developing offerings for process advisory services. P.S. I recently began dabbling in Process Street and love it. Hi, you called me out perfectly on it. I am a workflow specialist and a Process Street nerd. So I don't remember exactly who it was that had shared this part. Sorry. And Dan DeLong says Chris is certifiable though. So that is a good call, Dan. Love it. But yeah, I mean, actually, there's quite a few different groups that all believe in dealing with workflow. I think that's the future of our industry, is going to be being between the app developers and the accountants, and helping to build stronger systems, right? So Chris, you work, like, your company is always trying to work with accountants to test things out to make sure you're bringing the best kind of product to the market, right? It's a fundamental part of like the process before you can deliver something, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I don't, I mean, a lot of things you talk about process expedition and doing things that integrate processes. We're not, I wouldn't say we necessarily focus on, I mean, as a corporation, we release things like Scanbox, but that's more just based on, you know, what we're hearing as a potential add-on. But we don't necessarily really get involved. I mean, our product lends itself to people simplifying their life with like point of sale systems and, you know, integrating with the desktop file, but we don't necessarily get involved with the process part of it. So,
well, so on the backside, like with their new Canbox, I had the pleasure to work with their development team to kind of test out and see little things here and there. Is kind of where I was going with it, as well as trying to make sure that all the processes and pieces work together, and using that as an example of like workflow. You know, it's just a matter of how can we save clients time and ourselves time also on all that. And I love Process Street. So how about this one, Greg? What do you think? Can I make the display name and customer edit default to the company name?
The display name and customer edit default to the company name. Doesn't it already? I'm guessing, since we got the question, that
actually, no, it doesn't.
What does it grab? The person's name?
It does the person's name. That's actually a really good question. It's been one of my biggest like pet peeves in the world, especially in the vendors, right? And anytime you try to put a name in it, just you could put like Radio Shack, and I put the first name is Ray and the last name is Shack instead of the company name in as a default, basically. Let's see here.
I got it.
Yeah. So I don't think you can, right? I don't think there's a way to change that.
I'm not aware. It's possible.
Okay. It's a good thing we could bubble up. It really does make a difference when you put the suggestions in the suggestion box. They do actually listen to them and read them. They all go to a special place where they're seen by the whole team very quickly. How about this one? Previous accountant sent me 3 separate QBM files. That's Mac, I believe, right?
Yes, well, that's why I was going to try to answer this. This is not a file that can be imported into QBO. This is
There
one
we
that
go.
would have to go through. If that's Mac, then yeah, it would have to go through Mac and then be uploaded.
So you'd either have to take it from Mac over to desktop and then from desktop to online, or you'd have to get a hold of their special data services, right? And see if they could do it for you. One of those two, I believe.
And isn't Mac just a different kind of desktop file?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Another great reason why people should go with PCs.
Yeah. That and we don't.
I agree.
And that and we
Not
don't
a Mac
spend
user
15 minutes
here.
on a call trying to figure out how in the world you work on Mac. Like
Everything is backwards on a Mac. That's what I find. How to turn off bill pay for QuickBooks Online version. I have no idea. I don't actually have it turned on.
There's also 2 different bill pays now.
Yes. Are you familiar with Melio at all yet? Anybody?
Just tried it for the first time this week, and I intentionally screwed it up not to test it, but
They appreciate that. So the bill pay they're talking about is actually, I kind of know where they're going with this because we've got quite a few clients in this, and all the time, every time you've got a bill or something turned on, like it wants to immediately try to pay it and makes it hard. There's extra steps now you have to go to like not do that. It seemed like.
yeah. So this file that you're in does not have the new bill pay. This is linked up to the old one, which is through bill.com.
So this is the old one is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Maybe next week we'll have to take a look at what that looks like. Or
That's just to try to push you over to the full bill.com. But try to open a new tab really quick and see if we might just answer this really quick. Go to apps.com.
sure.
Search for bill pay or bill.com.
This one right here.
Yes.
So this is the new one, right?
Oh no, how's the other way to do it? Go to your QBOA. Sorry, everybody who we're keeping overtime here.
Nope, we're actually still
okay.
just within, but we'll
Go to your QBOA part.
I can't do that.
Okay. So, well, let me just
So you'd have to go into the QBOA basically.
I'm just trying to play with an idea was to go into the app section and see if you can disconnect.
Oh,
it.
that's a good point. I see what you're saying. So yeah, that's a great point that if you go in to visit the apps, that would then make it to where you can see the ones for clients is what you're talking about, right? So if I exit here.
Yeah, I'm doing it on my side, but like you, I can't really share it. But if I click on apps and then client apps, and then who has this?
So I should.
I know somebody who has this who I can.
I'm back in my accountant thing with my main dashboard. I click on apps here. Now I can click on client apps, and I would be able to see the clients and which apps are connected to try to go in and then remove it that way.
That's my thought process. Let me see if I can actually do it here.
So
I cannot disconnect it.
okay. Now the way that those get disconnected, it has to be by the actual person who did the initial connection.
I was the one.
Okay. So I'm going to save the rest of these for the next time. Let's see here.
Hey Matt, can I jump in real quick, just really fast?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to mention in regards to the cool comment about how someone was getting super excited about the article from Liz Scott. So first of all, I want to just thank whoever like dug that up on Firm of the Future. So it's a 5-part series on how to really start advisory. So many times people just don't really know what that means. So Liz Scott, Heather Savely, and myself, we got together and we wrote a 5-part series on really deep diving into advisory. And then we gave you 5 different advisory roles that you can consider to implement in your practice. So yeah, it's a really powerful guide. It's called the Advisory Guide. I just posted the link inside of the chat. So definitely, guys, take advantage of it. Liz rocked it. She wrote 3 of the articles. I wrote 1 and Heather wrote 1. So definitely check it out.
Beautiful. We'll try to get the links for all that stuff and put it in the group for everybody as well, because that sounds like it'd be a great resource for sure. So that's awesome.
Thanks, Marriott.
Thank you.
And then, so Marriott, real quickly, I wanted to give you a quick second to do a very 30-second shout out to your next round that you're doing for your boot camp.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I have the second round 2 of the Bookkeepers Bootcamp and Mastermind. I'm super excited. I actually just piloted this program in April and May, basically based on what we were just talking about, trying to help the bookkeeping community. And it went really well. I actually got people that started in my Get Certified Challenge with Matt and Linda, and then they wanted more. So I just literally created a boot camp to give them more to break into bookkeeping, and it went so well. So we're on round 2, which starts in August. So yeah, you can learn more information. Just go to my Facebook page. I've been sharing like crazy.
And Chris, tell us about QBox, buddy. Give us where can people find you? Give us the.
Just check us out, QBoxPlus.com. That's the place to find us. And if you're looking for a way to share your desktop file, drop on by. We have some cool videos you can watch, or just give us a call. We'd be happy to answer any questions for you.
You actually have a whole series that Seth David did with you, right? For how to like rebuild a company file like from scratch using QBox. It's QBox,
yeah,
the whole thing, everything else too. So
that's available somewhere on our site. I'm not sure exactly where. I'd have to ask Allison, but yeah, we can also get the link to anybody that would like to get Seth's classes that you actually can get. You know, if you're inquiring about QBox, you can get for free. So
cool. Jan, anything you want to promote?
No, not at this point.
How about you?
I love it. It comes up as Jenny.
Well, we'll call you Jay from now on. Thank you.
Yeah.
How about you, Greg? You got any anything you're working on that you want to share with anybody?
I am not actively working on any big content projects right now. I am just trying to get a handle back on everything that kind of the little nuances that fell away over the last few months.
Beautiful. And the one thing that I've actually finally put out myself is my loan forgiveness scenario calculator. We'll put a link into the group for that as well, where people can, it's set up into a course where you can then go download it, but it has additional details all around the QQQ, as we call it. So you can run different scenarios for your different clients and such, and kind of see what things would be looking like. So now I think we're going to probably end up doing an extra live, I'm sure. Linda is literally on an airplane right now on her way out here to come visit. So she'll be out here for quite a few days. And we're going to find some fun and trouble to get into, I'm sure, during that. So,
and can I give you a shout out, Matt, for trying to figure out those the subtitles on the bottom? Like, that was so amazing. Obviously, it's not perfect in the beginning, but I know that Sandy and the Sandys and so many people are really going to appreciate that. It also motivates us that haven't put that into our content to go ahead and step up and do that. So thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Next week, I know how to, the one difficulty is if I'm not showing the PowerPoint slides, you don't see those, but I know a way around that already. So next week should be even cooler with that capability. So thank you everybody who jumped in to help fill in for Linda. She's got big old shoes to fill. So, you know, appreciate y'all jumping in. It's big alligator shoes, actually. But on a different note, here's wishing you all a very successful week. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
too. Bye.
Matthew.
Thanks for having me.